War Prime Koltak felt confident as his fleet approached Earth's orbital space. The massive formation of 200 Council warships represented the most powerful military force the galaxy had seen in centuries, and every vessel was equipped with shields and weapons that had conquered hundreds of worlds. The War Prime expected this to be a simple demonstration of power that would bring the humans to their knees. Maintain formation and proceed to Earth orbit, Koltak commanded from his flagship's bridge. Prepare to broadcast surrender demands to the human leadership. Once they see the size of our fleet, they will have no choice but to accept Council authority. The alien commander had studied reports from every Council military action over the past 1,000 years. In every case, primitive species had either surrendered immediately upon seeing Council ships or had lined up their own fleets for conventional space battles that ended quickly in Council victory. Koltak saw no reason why the humans would be any different. His tactical officer monitored the sensor displays, looking for signs of Earth's defense fleet. War Prime, we are detecting minimal military activity, a few patrol vessels near the Yao outer planets, but nothing that could challenge our forces. The humans appear to be following standard surrender protocols. What Koltak did not know was that Commander Betty Ross was watching his every move from her concealed position in the asteroid belt. Her command center was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid that appeared to be nothing more than a mining facility to the Council's sensors. Betty had been waiting for 23 days for this moment, and she was ready. "All units, this is Command Base Alpha," Betty whispered into her secure communicator. "Enemy fleet is proceeding according to predicted course. They are maintaining tight formation and appear confident in their approach. Prepare to execute plan." Chaos on my signal. Throughout the Sol system, hundreds of concealed positions received Betty's transmission. Engineer Carlos Martinez checked his weapon systems one final time from his position on what appeared to be a simple asteroid mining platform. The massive industrial lasers that normally cut apart space rocks had been modified to disable Starship systems rather than destroy them completely. "Mining Platform 7 ready for operation," Carlos reported. "All laser arrays are charged and targeting systems are online. We have clear firing solutions on 12 enemy vessels." The Council fleet continued its advance, completely unaware that they were flying through the most elaborate trap in military history. Captain Lisa Johnson waited aboard her cargo freighter, which looked like any other civilian transport vessel, to alien sensors. Hidden in her ship's cargo bay were thousands of Danny Clark's hacked nanoprobes, designed to infiltrate alien computer systems and cause chaos throughout the enemy fleet. "Cargo vessel Delta 9 in position," Lisa reported to command. "Nanoprobe deployment systems are ready. Once we release them, the enemy fleet's computers will start receiving false information about everything from their own positions to their weapons status." Dr. Kate Williams monitored the quantum weapons batteries from her lunar base, watching as the Council ships moved into perfect range for her experimental projectiles. The aliens had no idea that humanity had developed weapons that could pass through their energy shields, as if they did not exist. "Lunar Defense Array reporting ready status," Kate transmitted. "Quantum projectiles are loaded and targeting solutions are confirmed. These weapons have never been used in actual combat, but our tests suggest they will completely bypass enemy shield systems." War Prime Koltak reached Earth's orbital space and prepared to broadcast his surrender demands to the human leadership. His ships were arranged in a perfect sphere around the planet, a formation designed to demonstrate overwhelming power while maintaining maximum defensive capability. Every Council military manual recommended this approach when dealing with primitive species. "Open a communication channel to the human leadership," Koltak ordered. "It is time to end this situation peacefully." Before the communication could be established, Commander Betty Ross gave the signal that changed everything. "All units, execute Plan Chaos. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity." The attack began simultaneously from dozens of positions throughout the Sol system. Carlos Martinez's mining lasers fired first, sending focused energy beams that sliced through space to strike the Council ship's engine systems. The aliens had shielded their vessels against military weapons, but they had never considered that industrial equipment could be turned into precision instruments of war. "What is happening?" Kolthak demanded as his tactical officer reported multiple impacts on ships throughout the fleet. Where are these attacks coming from? Before anyone could answer, Captain Lisa Johnson's cargo freighter released its cloud of nanoprobes. The microscopic devices spread throughout the Council formation like an invisible plague, infiltrating alien computer systems and beginning their work of electronic sabotage. Suddenly, the Council ship's sensors began reporting impossible readings. Some vessels showed they were under attack by weapons that did not exist, while others received commands to change course that had never been sent. The carefully maintained formation began to break apart as confused captains tried to respond to contradictory information. Our computer systems are malfunctioning across the entire fleet, the tactical officer reported in panic. Multiple vessels are reporting system failures and false sensor readings. But the real shock came when Dr. Kate Williams' quantum projectiles began striking their targets. The Council commanders watched in disbelief as solid objects passed through their energy shields without any interaction at all. The projectiles struck specific systems on each ship, disabling weapons, engines, and communication arrays with surgical precision. Impossible, Kolthak whispered as he watched his flagship's main weapons go offline. Our shields should stop any physical attack. How are they hitting us through our defensive barriers? Throughout the Council fleet, alien commanders faced the same terrifying realization. The humans were not fighting according to any known military doctrine. Instead of lining up their ships for a conventional battle, they had turned the entire Sol system into a weapons platform. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the battle from Titan Prime, coordinating the human response with calm efficiency. His staff monitored communications from across the system as reports poured in of successful strikes against the alien fleet. Admiral, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 Council vessels, reported his communications officer. Their commanders are requesting immediate ceasefire and withdrawal permission. Jake nodded grimly as he watched the tactical display show the Council formation falling apart under coordinated human attack. Denied. They came here to force our surrender through superior firepower. Now they can learn what it feels like to be outmatched. War Prime Kolthak tried desperately to regain control of his fleet, but every system he relied upon was failing or providing false information. His weapons could not target enemies they could not detect. His ships could not maintain formation when their sensors disagreed about their positions, and his shields provided no protection against weapons that ignored them completely. War Prime, we must withdraw, his tactical officer pleaded. We have lost operational capability on over half our vessels. The humans have weapons and tactics we have never encountered before. For the first time in his military career, Kolthak faced the possibility of defeat at the hands of a species the Council had dismissed as primitive. The humans had not only refused to surrender, they had demonstrated technological capabilities that the galaxy's greatest military force could not match. Signal general retreat, Kolthak ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of failure. All ships are to withdraw to the system's edge immediately. As the Council fleet fled in disorder, Commander Betty Ross opened a communication channel to the retreating aliens. This is Commander Ross of the Human Defense Corps. You came here expecting us to surrender without a fight. Instead, you have learned that humanity does not bow to threats or intimidation. Take this message back to your Council. Earth is under human protection, and we will defend ourselves against any aggressor, no matter how powerful they believe themselves to be. The Battle of Sol was over, and for the first time in galactic history, the Galactic Council had been defeated by a species they had tried to suppress. War Prime Kolthak retreated with less than half his fleet operational, knowing that he would have to report the impossible to his superiors. Humanity had won. Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the huge window of Titan Prime, watching the stars shine in the black space around Saturn's moon. The orbital station was humanity's greatest achievement in space, a massive structure that housed 50,000 people and served as Earth's main defense headquarters. Jake had been the station commander for 3 years, but today felt different. Today, everything would change. The communication alert rang through his office, and Jake turned to see his aide rushing in with a worried look on her face. Lieutenant, Amy Foster held a datapad in her shaking hands and spoke in a quiet voice that made Jake's stomach turn cold. "Sir, we have received a priority transmission from outside our solar system. The signal is unlike anything we have seen before. It appears to be from the Galactic Council." Jake had heard rumors of the Galactic Council his entire military career. Earth had made contact with several alien species over the past 50 years, since humanity developed faster than light travel, but the Council remained a mystery. They were said to be a group of 12 powerful alien races that controlled most of the galaxy. Most humans believed they were just stories told by independent alien traders. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered, settling into his command chair. The holographic display activated, showing a tall figure that seemed to be made of living crystal. The being's body reflected light in strange ways, and its voice sounded like music mixed with the sound of breaking glass. Jake realized he was looking at his first council representative. "Greetings, humans of the Sol System. I am Ambassador Zeth Kara of the Vorthon Empire, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed and evaluated over the past several decades." Jake felt his heart race as the crystal being continued speaking. The alien's words were translated into perfect English, but something about the tone made Jake feel like he was being lectured by a disappointed teacher. "The Council has determined that humanity poses a potential threat to galactic stability. Your aggressive expansion into space, your unconventional military methods, and your refusal to follow established galactic protocols have caused concern among the member species." Dr. Lisa Parker entered the command center just as the message continued. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and had studied every alien species humanity had encountered. Her face went pale as she listened to the ambassador's words. "Therefore, the Galactic Council has decided to place humanity under protective supervision. You have 30 standard days to comply with the following requirements. First, all human colonies beyond your home solar system must be abandoned. Second, your military fleet must be dismantled and surrendered to Council forces. Third, Earth must accept Council oversight of all technological development and space travel." Jake stood up from his chair, his hands clenched into fists. The alien continued speaking as if delivering a simple weather report rather than demanding humanity's surrender. "Failure to comply with these requirements will result in corrective measures being taken by Council forces. The Council wishes to emphasize that this decision is for the benefit of galactic peace and the protection of younger species from making dangerous mistakes." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in complete silence. Jake looked around at his staff and saw the same mixture of shock and anger on every face. Dr. Parker was the first to speak. "They have made a serious mistake in their evaluation of humanity," she said, her voice steady despite the incredible situation. "Everything about that message shows they do not understand us at all." Captain Ben Hayes of the Earth Defense Corps walked into the room having heard about the transmission. He was a veteran of the Mars colonial wars and had never backed down from a fight in his life. His face was red with anger as he spoke. "Sir, with respect, there is no way humanity will accept these terms. Our colonies are home to millions of people. Our military exists to protect Earth and all human settlements. They are asking us to give up everything that makes us human." Jake nodded, his mind already working on the problem. The aliens had made several errors in their message that revealed how little they truly understood about humanity. They spoke of humans as if they were just another species that could be controlled through threats and superior technology. "Amy, send messages to all Earth Defense Corps commanders throughout human space. I want a full meeting of the Defense Council within 6 hours. Also contact Dr. Williams on Luna Base and Chief Engineer Rodriguez on the Mars shipyards. We need our best minds working on this immediately." Dr. Parker pulled up her research files on the holographic display, showing everything humanity had learned about galactic politics from their alien contacts. Most of the information was incomplete, but patterns began to emerge as she spoke. "The Council appears to operate on the assumption that all species follow similar development paths. They believe in technological superiority and overwhelming force as methods of control. What they do not understand is that humans have faced extinction events before and survived through adaptation and cooperation." Jake walked back to the window, looking out at the massive construction yards where new ships were being built. Humanity had been preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact ever since they first left Earth. The Council seemed to think they were dealing with a primitive species that had accidentally discovered space travel. "They have 30 days to learn how wrong they are," Jake said quietly. "Amy, prepare a message to be sent to every human colony, every ship in the fleet, and every research station in human space. Tell them that Earth has been threatened by an alien power that demands our surrender. Tell them that Admiral Morrison and the Earth Defense Corps will never accept these terms." Captain Hayes smiled for the first time since the transmission had arrived. "Sir, should we begin mobilization procedures?" Jake turned back to face his staff, and they could see the determination in his eyes that had made him one of humanity's most respected military leaders. The Galactic Council had made their greatest mistake when they assumed humans would surrender without a fight. "Yes, Ben. Begin full mobilization. But we are not just preparing to defend ourselves. We are going to show the galaxy that humanity cannot be intimidated by threats or controlled by fear. Send word to every human settlement. We have 30 days to prepare for war." The command center erupted into activity as orders were sent across human space. The Galactic Council had given humanity an ultimatum, expecting fear and submission. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. They had awakened humanity's greatest strength, the refusal to surrender when survival was at stake. 25 days had passed since the Galactic Council delivered their ultimatum to humanity, and the galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. War Prime Kultak of the Grendel Confederation stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as 200 Council warships prepared to enter the Sol system. The massive fleet represented the combined military might of 6 different alien species, all united under Council command. Kultak was a warrior from a species that had conquered dozens of worlds through superior firepower and tactical discipline. His people had joined the Galactic Council 300 years ago after being defeated in a war that lasted only 6 months. Since then, the Grendel had served as the Council's primary military force, and Kultak had never lost a battle. "War Prime, our scouts report no significant military buildup in the Sol system," reported his tactical officer. "The humans appear to have only their standard defense fleet of approximately 50 vessels. Intelligence suggests they are preparing to surrender." Kultak nodded, though something about the situation bothered him. In his experience, species facing overwhelming odds usually sent desperate messages begging for mercy or attempting to negotiate better terms. The humans had sent no communications at all since receiving the ultimatum. Meanwhile, throughout human space, the greatest mobilization in history was taking place. Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez worked around the clock in the Mars shipyards, converting civilian cargo vessels into weapons platforms. The Council's intelligence was correct that humanity only had 50 official military ships, but they had not counted on human creativity. Sam's team had spent 3 weeks installing experimental weapon systems on mining ships, cargo haulers, and passenger transports. The aliens assumed that only purpose-built warships could pose a threat in space combat, but humans had learned long ago that any tool could become a weapon when survival was at stake. "How many ships do we have ready?" Sam asked his assistant as they watched another converted freighter leave the shipyard. 130 civilian vessels have been armed and equipped with military-grade shields. The crews are volunteers from the merchant fleet and colonial defense forces. They know they are not professional soldiers, but they are ready to fight for their homes. On Luna Base, Dr. Kate Williams made the breakthrough that would change everything. Her research team had been working on quantum tunneling technology for industrial applications, but the Council's ultimatum had given their work new urgency. Kate realized that if they could create micro-wormholes in space, they might be able to bypass the energy shields that protected alien warships. "The theory is sound," Kate explained to her team as they prepared for the first live test. "Council, ships use energy barriers that deflect or absorb conventional weapons, but quantum tunneling allows matter to pass through barriers as if they do not exist. If we can attach our tunneling generators to kinetic projectiles, we can hit enemy ships directly through their shields." The test was successful beyond their wildest hopes. The quantum projectile passed through the test barrier and struck its target with full force. Within hours, production facilities across human space were manufacturing the new weapons as fast as possible. Captain Alex Turner coordinated resistance efforts on the human colonies that the Council believed were already under their control. The aliens had sent small occupation forces to a dozen worlds, confident that the threat of orbital bombardment would keep the colonists obedient. They had not considered that humans had been fighting guerrilla wars for thousands of years. The occupation troops are staying in their landing zones, Alex reported during a secure communication with Earth. They expect local authorities to come to them and formally surrender. Instead, we have evacuated all major population centers and moved our people into prepared shelters. The aliens are occupying empty cities. But the most important development was taking place in a secret laboratory on Europa, where programmer Danny Clark had been working on the captured alien probe that Earth's scouts had recovered 6 months earlier. The probe's computer systems were more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen, but Danny had discovered something the Council never expected: human creativity in problem solving. Their entire network is based on the assumption that only Council species have the technology to access it, Danny explained to Admiral Morrison during a secure video call. They use quantum encryption that should be impossible to break, but they never considered that someone might approach the problem differently. Instead of trying to break the encryption directly, Danny had found a way to make the alien systems believe his computers were legitimate Council hardware. The probe's communication system was designed to automatically connect to any Council network it encountered, and Danny had used this feature to gain access to the entire fleet's command structure. "I can see everything they are planning," Danny continued, his excitement obvious despite the serious situation. "Their fleet movements, their communication protocols, their tactical assessments. Admiral, they think we are going to line up our ships and fight them according to their rules." Admiral Morrison smiled grimly as he reviewed the intelligence reports from across human space. The Galactic Council had made the same mistake that countless enemies had made throughout human history. They had prepared to fight the last war instead of the next one. War Prime Koltak's fleet entered the Sol system exactly on schedule, their ships arranged in perfect formation according to Council military doctrine. The War Prime expected to find humanity's defense fleet waiting in orbit around Earth, ready to surrender in the face of overwhelming odds. Instead, his sensors showed only normal civilian traffic and a few research stations scattered throughout the system. There were no military formations, no defensive positions, and no signs of the desperate last-stand battle that Koltak had expected. "Where is their fleet?" Koltak demanded from his tactical officer. "Unknown, War Prime. Our sensors detect no significant military vessels in the inner system. Perhaps they have already begun evacuating their colonies as ordered." Koltak felt the first hint of unease as his fleet advanced toward Earth. In all his years of military service, he had never encountered an enemy that simply disappeared when faced with superior force. Every species in the galaxy fought according to established patterns, but the humans seemed to be doing something entirely different. Commander Betty Ross watched the alien fleet's approach from her hidden command post in the asteroid belt. Her facility was disguised as a mining station, and the Council ships passed within a few thousand kilometers without detecting the massive weapons array concealed inside the hollowed-out asteroid. "All stations report ready," Betty whispered into her communicator. "The enemy fleet is proceeding according to their predicted course. They have no idea what they are flying into." Throughout the Sol system, hundreds of concealed positions waited for the signal to attack. Mining platforms that appeared to be simple industrial equipment were actually weapons batteries. Cargo ships that looked like harmless civilian traffic carried crews trained in space combat. Research stations that seemed dedicated to scientific study housed quantum weapons that could penetrate any known shield. The Galactic Council had sent their fleet to suppress a primitive species that they believed would surrender without a fight. Instead, they were about to encounter something that no alien civilization had ever seen: humanity at war, fighting with creativity, determination, and a complete disregard for the established rules of galactic conflict. War Prime Kulthak would soon learn that the galaxy's greatest mistake was underestimating Earth, and that mistake was about to cost the Council their reputation for invincibility. The news of humanity's victory at Sol spread through the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. War Prime Kulthak returned to Council space with his damaged fleet and a report that shook the foundations of galactic power. For over 1,000 years, no species had successfully resisted Council authority, and the idea that a young race could defeat their military seemed impossible. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the main briefing room of Titan Prime, addressing the assembled leaders of humanity's military and scientific communities. The victory at Sol had bought them time, but everyone knew the Council would not simply accept defeat and leave Earth alone. Intelligence reports indicate the Council is mobilizing additional fleets from across their territory, Jake announced to the gathered officers. They are calling for what they term a final solution to the human problem. We estimate they can bring over 1,000 ships to bear against us within 6 months. Dr. Lisa Parker raised her hand to speak. Her analysis of captured Council technology had revealed crucial information about their enemy's capabilities and weaknesses. Admiral, our study of the damaged Council vessels shows that their technology is actually less advanced than we originally thought. They have achieved superiority through standardization and overwhelming numbers, not through innovation. Intelligence Officer Rachel Green stepped forward with her latest findings. The young officer had been analyzing communication intercepts from Council space, and what she had discovered would change humanity's entire strategy. Sir, we have been monitoring Council communications since the battle, and there are signs of serious disagreement among the member species. Several races are questioning whether attempting to destroy Earth is the correct response to our resistance. Jake nodded as he reviewed the intelligence reports. The Council's unity was not as solid as they wanted their subjects to believe, and humanity might be able to exploit those divisions. But first, Earth needed to demonstrate that their victory at Sol was not just a lucky accident. Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez had been working around the clock to reverse engineer captured Council technology. His teams on Mars had torn apart damaged alien ships and combined their systems with human innovations to create something entirely new. Admiral, we have successfully integrated Council shield technology with our own power systems, Sam reported with obvious pride. The new hybrid shields are actually stronger than the original Council versions because we improved their energy efficiency by 30%. Dr. Marcus Thompson, leading the Rapid Response Development Program, had achieved even more dramatic results. His teams had analyzed every piece of Council technology they could acquire and had begun producing improved versions at a rate that amazed even the human scientists involved. We have reverse-engineered their faster-than-light drive systems and improved them, Marcus explained. Our new drives are not only faster than Council ships, but they also leave a much smaller energy signature. We can move through space almost undetected. But the most important breakthrough came from Dr. Kate Williams, whose quantum weapons had proven so effective during the Battle of Sol. Kate had been studying the fundamental principles behind Council technology and had made a discovery that would change everything. I have cracked the basis of their faster-than-light communication system, Kate announced to the assembled leaders. Once we understand how their quantum communication network operates, we can monitor every message sent between Council worlds in real time. Jake realized immediately what this meant for humanity's chances of survival. If they could intercept Council communications, they would know about every planned attack before it began. More importantly, they could identify which alien species might be willing to break away from Council authority. Captain Steve Allen volunteered to lead the first human strike mission into Council territory. His newly upgraded stealth ship was equipped with improved engines, hybrid shields, and quantum communication interceptors that would allow him to gather intelligence deep in enemy space. Sir, request permission to conduct reconnaissance of the Grendel home system, Steve said formally. If we can gather information about their military installations and fleet positions, we might be able to prevent them from launching another massive attack against Earth. Jake approved the mission, knowing that humanity's survival depended on taking the fight to their enemies rather than waiting for the next Council assault. Steve's ship departed 2 days later, invisible to Council sensors and capable of faster-than-light travel that exceeded anything the aliens possessed. Meanwhile, Ambassador Patricia Davis began a secret diplomatic campaign targeting younger species within Council territory. Patricia had studied galactic politics and identified several races that had been forced to join the Council against their will centuries earlier. The Altarian Republic joined the Council after being threatened with planetary bombardment, Patricia explained during a secure briefing. Their people are philosophers and scientists who have always opposed military solutions to political problems. If we can convince them that the Council is planning genocide against Earth, they might be willing to break away. The diplomatic mission was incredibly dangerous, but Patricia understood that humanity needed allies if they were going to survive a prolonged war against the Council's superior numbers. Her ship was equipped with the same stealth technology that Steve Allen was using, allowing her to reach Altarian space without being detected. Dr. Helen Martinez and Dr. Tony Lewis made the breakthrough that would give humanity its greatest advantage in the coming conflict. Working together in a secret laboratory on Europa, they had not only cracked the Council's communication codes but had found a way to insert false information into their network. We can now send fake messages through the Council's own communication system, Helen explained excitedly. Their commanders will receive orders that appear to come from legitimate sources but actually originate from us. The implications were staggering. Humanity could potentially coordinate false flag operations, redirect Council fleets away from strategic targets, and even turn alien forces against each other by sending contradictory orders to different commanders. Jake approved an ambitious plan that would demonstrate humanity's new capabilities to the entire galaxy. Rather than waiting for the Council to organize another massive assault on Earth, human forces would launch simultaneous strikes against Council military installations in 6 different systems. Captain Roy Carter led the most dangerous part of the operation, a mission to capture one of the Council's planet-killer weapons before it could be used against Earth. Intelligence reports suggested that the Council was preparing to use these ultimate weapons to destroy human colonies as an example to other species. Sir, we have located a planet-killer vessel in the Vorthan system, Roy reported during the final mission briefing. The ship is heavily defended, but our new stealth technology and quantum weapons should allow us to disable it before the crew can activate the main weapon. The coordinated human offensive began exactly as planned. In 6 different systems, Council military bases suddenly found themselves under attack by ships that appeared out of nowhere, struck with impossible precision, and disappeared before effective countermeasures could be organized. Admiral Morrison coordinated the entire operation from Titan Prime, watching as reports poured in from across Council space. Human strike teams hit weapon manufacturing facilities, communication relay stations, and fleet assembly points with devastating effectiveness. Admiral Captain Carter reports successful capture of the planet-killer vessel. His communications officer announced, "The weapon is under human control, and Captain Carter's team is downloading the ship's entire database." But the most important success came from Ambassador Patricia Davis, who had managed to make contact with the Altarian leadership. Her message arrived just as the human strikes were demonstrating Earth's new military capabilities. "Admiral, I have spoken with the Altarian Council of Philosophers," Patricia reported via quantum communication. "They are horrified to learn that the Galactic Council is planning to use planet-killer weapons against civilian populations. The Altarians are prepared to withdraw from the Council if we can guarantee their protection." Jake smiled as he realized that humanity had achieved something the Galactic Council had never expected. They had proven that Council authority could be challenged successfully, and they had given other species hope that freedom from Council dominance was possible. The galaxy's greatest mistake was underestimating Earth, and that mistake was about to cost the Council everything they had built over the past millennium. Humanity had not only survived the Council's attempt at suppression, but they had demonstrated that the galaxy's most powerful alliance could be defeated by determination, creativity, and the refusal to surrender when survival was at stake. The Galactic Council's response to humanity's coordinated strikes revealed the true depth of their desperation. Council Supreme Veltar, the ancient leader who had ruled the galaxy for over 2 centuries, issued a decree that shocked even his own supporters: the complete extermination of humanity and the destruction of every world they had colonized. The human infection must be removed from the galaxy, Veltar announced to the assembled council representatives. Their ideas of resistance and independence threaten the stability that we have maintained for over 1,000 years. No price is too high to preserve galactic order. The Supreme's words were intercepted by Dr. Helen Martinez and her team, who had been monitoring all council communications since cracking their quantum network. When Admiral Jake Morrison received the translation, he realized that the conflict had moved beyond territorial disputes or political disagreements. The council was now planning genocide. They are mobilizing every planet-killer weapon in their arsenal, Jake announced to his senior staff on Titan Prime. Intelligence suggests they have at least 20 of these vessels capable of sterilizing entire worlds from orbit. Their plan is to destroy Earth, Mars, and every human colony simultaneously. Dr. Lisa Parker, now serving as Director of Interspecies Relations, had been analyzing the psychological profiles of different council species. Her research revealed that the council's member races were not united in their support for Veltar's extreme solution. Admiral, the Altarian Republic has officially withdrawn from the council as of 6 hours ago, Lisa reported. Ambassador Patricia's diplomatic mission has been more successful than we hoped. 3 other species have followed the Altarians: the Kepler Union, the Spiral Commonwealth, and the Free Worlds Alliance. The news that 4 major species had broken away from council authority sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, the council's power was fragmenting, and other oppressed species began to consider the possibility of independence. Captain Roy Carter returned from his mission to capture the planet-killer weapon with intelligence that changed everything humanity thought they knew about council technology. The massive vessel was not just a weapon of mass destruction, but also a repository of advanced scientific knowledge that the council had kept secret for centuries. Admiral, this ship contains technological databases from over 50 different civilizations, Roy reported during his debriefing. The council has been suppressing scientific advancement throughout the galaxy to maintain their technological superiority. Some of these civilizations developed innovations that surpass anything the council currently uses. Dr. Marcus Thompson immediately began studying the captured technology, working with teams of human scientists to understand and adapt the advanced systems. What they discovered would give humanity the tools they needed to end the war decisively. The planet-killer weapon itself is based on quantum field manipulation that we can reverse engineer, Marcus explained excitedly. But more importantly, the ship's database contains the locations and access codes for every council military installation in the galaxy. Meanwhile, War Prime Kolthak found himself in an impossible position. The Grendel military commander had always served the council faithfully, but the order to commit genocide against an entire species violated every principle of honorable warfare that his people respected. War Prime, we have received direct orders to deploy against human civilian targets, his tactical officer reported with obvious discomfort. Supreme Veltar demands that we target population centers rather than military installations. Kolthak stared at the orders on his command screen, realizing that the council had become the very thing they claimed to protect the galaxy against: a force of destruction that threatened innocent lives for political gain. His decision would determine not only the fate of humanity, but the future of galactic civilization. Dr. Kate Williams made the final breakthrough that would end the war when she successfully adapted the planet killer's quantum field technology for defensive purposes. Instead of using the technology to destroy worlds, humanity could create protective barriers that would make their colonies completely immune to any form of orbital bombardment. We can protect every human world simultaneously, Kate announced, during an emergency meeting of Earth's leadership. The quantum field generators will create impenetrable shields around entire planets. The Council's ultimate weapons will be completely useless against us. But Admiral Morrison had a different idea for ending the conflict. Rather than simply defending human worlds, he proposed using their technological advantages to offer something the galaxy had never seen before: freedom for every species that wanted it. We broadcast this message to every world in Council space. Jake explained his plan to the assembled military and diplomatic leaders. We offer protection and alliance to any species that wants to break away from Council authority. Our technology can defend their worlds just as effectively as it protects ours. Ambassador Linda Hayes, who had been working with the Altarian Republic since their withdrawal from the Council, brought news that would make Jake's plan possible. The Altarians had not only left the Council, but had also convinced several other founding species to reconsider their support for Veltar's policies. The Altarians have access to the Council's founding documents, Linda reported. The original charter actually forbids the use of planet-killer weapons against civilian populations. Supreme Veltar is violating the very laws that established the Council's authority. The revelation that the Council's own supreme leader was breaking their fundamental laws provided humanity with the moral authority they needed to challenge the entire system. Jake approved a galaxy-wide broadcast that would offer an alternative to Council rule. Citizens of the galaxy, Jake's message began, transmitted simultaneously to every inhabited world in known space. The Galactic Council has ordered the complete destruction of humanity and all our colonies. They plan to use weapons of mass destruction against civilian populations, violating their own founding principles and threatening the lives of billions of innocent people. The broadcast continued with an offer that no oppressed species could ignore. Earth and our allies offer protection and alliance to any world that seeks freedom from Council authority. Our technology can defend your planets from any threat, and we believe that all intelligent species have the right to determine their own destiny. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, over 200 species across the galaxy had sent messages expressing interest in breaking away from Council control. The rebellion that had begun with humanity's refusal to surrender had become a galaxy-wide revolution. War Prime Koltak made his decision when he received orders to begin bombardment of human civilian colonies. Instead of following Veltar's commands, he opened a communication channel to Admiral Morrison. Admiral Morrison, this is War Prime Koltak of the Grendel Confederation. I am speaking for myself and many of my fellow commanders when I say that we cannot and will not participate in genocide. The Council has lost its moral authority, and we are prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict honorably. The war, that had begun with the Council's ultimatum to humanity, ended not with massive battles or planetary destruction, but with the signing of the new Galactic Accords. The ceremony took place on a neutral station in space, with representatives from over 400 species attending to witness the birth of a new form of galactic government. Dr. Lisa Parker, now serving as Earth's primary diplomatic representative, stood beside Admiral Morrison as they signed the document that would reshape galactic civilization. The Accords established principles that the old Council had never considered: representation for all species, regardless of military power, technological sharing rather than hoarding, and the protection of every world's right to self-determination. The galaxy's greatest mistake was underestimating Earth, Admiral Morrison said during his address to the assembled delegates. But from that mistake has come our greatest opportunity, the chance to build a civilization based on cooperation rather than domination, on innovation rather than stagnation, and on hope rather than fear. War Prime Koltak, now serving as a military advisor in the new galactic government, approached Admiral Morrison after the ceremony. The alien warrior who had once commanded the fleet sent to suppress humanity now worked alongside humans to protect the freedom they had won for the entire galaxy. Admiral, I must admit that my people's greatest error was not understanding what makes humans unique, Koltak said with something resembling respect in his voice. You did not just defeat us in battle. You defeated us in imagination. You showed us possibilities we had never considered. The story concluded with Dr. Lisa Parker looking out at the stars from her office on the new Galactic Alliance headquarters. Human ships worked alongside vessels from hundreds of alien species, former enemies now united in the common goal of exploring the galaxy and protecting the freedom of all intelligent life. The Galactic Council's attempt to suppress a young species had instead unleashed a force that transformed galactic civilization forever. Earth's refusal to surrender had not only saved humanity, but had given every species in the galaxy the chance to determine their own future.